This season, I have 2 garden projects planned. The first project is planned for the front yard. One of my main objectives is to reduce the amount of turf grass by installing a new garden border. When my husband Tom and I first moved into our house over 25 years ago, I wasn't a gardener. I didn't know much about landscape design. Until recently, the foundation plantings of our home remained relatively unchanged. This season, I want to improve the foundation plantings by removing the pavers and expanding the size of the borders. I also want to make it easier to enter the back garden by installing a gated entrance and a path along the side yard. We started building the path and the gate this past fall. I started this project by removing the pavers. I wanted to expand the foundation border. I want the edge of the border to match up with the side of the sidewalk. All I needed for this part of the project was a little elbow grease, a wheelbarrow, and a spade. Then I dug up the boxwood and planted them into a temporary garden border. One aspect of this project is that it's important that I have a relatively flat, easy way to access the side entrance. I staged some boxwood in containers and walked along the border to make sure that I had easy access to the path. I want my parents and friends that have a little more trouble walking to be able to get into the garden easily. Once I convinced myself that the new border provided easy access to the side yard, I got to work clearing up the edge of the border. The edges of the border were fairly easy to dig. But there were quite a few tree roots from a big tree that's planted in front of the house. My garden fork and a sharp pair of loppers were perfect for this job. You can see the huge number of roots that needed to be cleaned up. Once I was happy with the edge, I replanted the boxwood along the edge of the new border. I gave the plants a bit more space. The hedge looks a little rough right now, but trust me, by the end of the season, these boxwoods will start filling out and they're going to look great. I plan to add a second row of patio blocks to finish the path, and I still need to add plant material. The next step was creating a large garden border in the front. I'm not a huge fan of turf grass. In Michigan, our summers are hot and dry. Lawns require a lot of supplemental water. My plan is to remove a fair amount of turf in the front and replace it with lower maintenance shrub and perennials. The hardest part about this job is going to be removing the existing turf. This turf is thick and it's in good shape. I grabbed some spray paint from the garage to outline the shape of the new border. I'm going to use a curved shape like the border I installed on the top of our hill a few seasons ago. Removing turf with a spade is not a fun job. You can make it a little easier by using a sharp blade. This is usually the part of the project where I wish I had some serious construction equipment. There are no dig methods available for a project like this, but I elected to remove the turf with a spade. I don't have time to wait for the turf to decompose for an entire season under cardboard or paper, and I want to avoid using herbicides in my garden whenever possible. The turf in this area is thick and healthy. This project has only just begun. I have lots of turf to remove, a soil test to complete, and lots of planting to do. Here's a view from the second floor to give you a sense of the size of the border. After a bit of time, a lot of manual labor, this is going to look like a proper garden soon. That's all for this week. Cheers!